Today I'm going to take a look at Seeker's EcoOS. EcoOS is an advanced Arch ISO spin-off of StormOS, and it's developed by Seeker, who happens to be one of the contributing devs to StormOS. This looks like a really interesting spin. I just got wind of this a couple days ago. I'm at the SourceForge website right now. So down here I can see a little bit of information on it. According to the description, it's an advanced Arch ISO spin-off of StormOS, like I said before, which features an advanced panel, terminal, file manager, and launcher. Basically, the ISO features a hybrid feel to accommodate Xfce and Tiling. These features are something that really caught my attention. It's something that's actually becoming a part of StormOS as well. And so this is a spin-off, and I really like this because Seeker seems to be a really talented developer, and I believe he is also the contributing dev to StormOS. He really has an eye for aesthetics from what I'm seeing here from the screenshots. So I'm pretty excited to get in here and see some of these features like the advanced panel with tiling, advanced file manager, launcher, and advanced terminal. So I am liking that. And the latest ISO as the time of making this video is from December 4th. So this is quite new relative to my recording. So I am going to download this and load it in, and let's check it out. Okay, so here we are. We're in the live environment. And just for your reference, the login password, in case you need to use it, it logs in automatically actually. But if it goes and lock screens on you or whatever, login password is live user, which is the same as the username. So just a little bit of reference there. Wow, this is really a beautiful looking desktop. I gotta say, it looks like to me that Seeker has some great artistic ability, and this theming layout here is very consistent, and the color shading matches really well. So I'm liking that already. Great first impression. I'm just going to get right down to it and get into the StormOS Calamares installer here and check this out. So I know I liked what I saw in the most recent StormOS release. So this is really going to look nice, I think. This is really going to have some features I'm excited about looking at. So I'm just going to keep hitting in next here and go with the defaults. And then for here, I'm going to select erase disk and just let it do its thing automatically. And I think I'll just select swap to file there for the swap. So here we can get a quick summary of our current versus the after effects of our install. And I'm all good with that. So I'm going to hit next and then enter in all the essential info like name, the first one being friendly name, and then the second being all lowercase, which is conformative. And then here we can put in a computer name. I'm just going to go with the default StormOS, but you can put in whatever you want. Password. And then I'll do the same with a root password. I just use the same password, so it's simpler. And then I'll hit next here, and then we have an overview of everything it's going to do. So it's going to create a new partition and so forth, and then install everything for us. So I'm just going to hit install. Easy peasy, nothing complicated about the Calamares installer at all, which is what makes it so great. I'm going to let it do its thing, keep going, and then when it's all done, I'll see you then. Okay, it looks like everything's complete, so I'm just going to go ahead and shut this down, remove the ISO, and let's check it out. Okay, so here we are. Looks like it installed okay, at least so far. So we got our grub boot screen. That's always a good sign. So I'm just going to let it boot in here and see how it looks. And I like the splash screen there, EcoOS. Seems to me that Seeker is really quite artistic. Assuming he must have a hand in the graphical side of things too, and the design. So really great aesthetics. I like it already. Gonna go ahead and log in here and see how the desktop looks. I'm assuming it looks like it did in the live edition. And here comes up our panel and our message. I think this is kind of related to being in a VM. And so it's just asking if I want to assign a desktop existing layout to the monitor. I'll just hit always auto assign there and hit apply. And that should kind of do the trick for that. And then just X out to close it. So let's take a look. This is a really beautiful bar. I love the way this is customized, and it's really laid out like a tiling window manager, which I think is really cool. And then over here we got our time here in the center of the bar, along with any notifications that could be available. And then we got our weather app here, CPU usage, and so forth. And then here we got our brightness. And then here we got our volume. I'm just going to back that off around 30%. And then, of course, this opens our drawer. So if we want to short this up a bit, we can just click this. And it'll shorten things up. So that's a nice feature. I like that. And then here we got our Bluetooth manager for Bluetooth and tiling. So that's cool. So it looks like it's got a tiling feature that you can toggle on and off. I am liking that. And then right click, you can get options. So right now it's showing your status that it is off. Then here you can toggle the tiling or window restoration. So you can save current positions. Cool. Restore all windows and clear save positions. That is interesting. I'm liking this already. Wow. And by the way, this is the Xfce desktop. So I really love the way this is laid out for tiling and has a tiling toggling features in it as well, which is something I haven't seen yet. So can't wait to get in there and dig in. I think I'll just start right off with testing that out. So let's open up first our file manager here. And wow, I love the theme. That is really nice. The green and the contrast with the dark background. Wow, that's stunning right off the bat. So I'm liking that for sure. And then also we have a StormOS launcher. So I'm going to hit that real quick and just see what that's all about. And there's our launcher. Wow, that's quite beautiful too. And look at the theming there. The color scheme there is perfectly done. So I don't know if it's using like a pre-made theme there that it's using, like maybe a Tokyo Night or something, but it looks great. I got to tell you. And so does this launcher. Kind of reminds me of a really well done Rofi launcher or something, which it may. I don't really know the details behind this. It may actually be a custom launcher done by Seeker himself or someone in the dev chain there. Whatever the case, I'm loving it. So let me open up another window here. Maybe something like, I don't know, maybe the terminal. So I'll just pop down here real quick and see if I can't find that. Actually, I'll just go up here and type in terminal. There we go. So I'm going to open that baby up and just kind of move that a little bit to the side. Maybe one more window there just for good measure. So why don't I just come over here and open up a text editor real quick. And now just for fun, and I'm assuming this tiling is probably a work in progress, but with 3 windows open, let's see what happens when I hit the tiling toggle switch here. So gonna hit that. Boom. Wow, check that out. Just laid out beautifully. I am really impressed. So look at that. That is cool. And so we got kind of a master stack layout here. So we got our file manager here in the master position here, and then we got 2 windows stacked over here to our right, which is the terminal and the mouse pad. And then you can even just adjust it with your mouse, which is cool. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to push that up, overlap it, and then right click on the tiling again. Tall is our configuration, so I see that it's showing our configuration name up here, which I like. Then over here is our toggle switch. So this is cool. And then I'm going to take a look at that, and that's also showing our inner gap size. Wow. A lot of information there. That is great. I like seeing that. So now if I right click on this, and auto tile is checked by default. And then here we got some preset gaps, which is great. Right now it's in smart gaps. Like that too. So it'll just kind of automatically calculate the gaps for you for the best overall look. And then we have different layouts here. So we got tall, wide, grid, monocle, spiraled window, and floating. So let's check out some of these. So if I switch this to wide, then we get a look like this. Wow. This is really great. Back here again, right click, layout. We got grid. Nice. So it is a perfect grid layout there. Loving it. Here we can cycle the layout, just kind of cycle through. That is cool. There's a spiral layout, which almost looks like the grid, but you can see here we got a kind of a spiral there, the way they're offset a little bit in a spiral. And I'm over the wrong button. I want to right click on the toggle there. And then we got dwindle. And then floating is the last one, which is basically off. So again, if I just left click this, it turns off tiling, and so now we're back to our floating window. So how cool is that? I mean, this is really next level Xfce here. So I am loving this. This is following the cosmic concept in my impression, and I think that is a great way to go. No one has ever actually done this on Xfce in a distro. So, man, I got to give like double thumbs up already, even before my 2 cents. This is great. I really like this. And I'm kind of partial to toggling anyway. So I'm going to hit that again and just let it toggle. And then I'm going to just set my favorite is kind of the master stack or tall in here anyway. So I'm just going to go in here and select that again, because I really like the default. That's just perfect and very comfortable for me. So there we are. Nice. Now that I'm in here, I'm just going to take a look at the terminal real quick and jump in here and just do a quick look at what we got. So here it's showing that our desktop, of course, is the Xfce Desktop 4.20. We're running the 6.17.9 kernel. And again, this is a StormOS spin with the X11 Display Manager. And the theme is right now, it looks like it's the add weighted dark. So nice. And it apparently is customized here. I really love the layout here on the file manager. That's something that really caught my eye right off the bat. The beautiful font color. I mean, that is a green that I just totally resonate with. I would not change a thing on that look there. And then over here in our sidebar, I really love the way it's laid out with the places, the tree, and the devices down here. I mean, that is great. To me, I think that is an incredibly good layout. And then up here, of course, you can change your view. So you can go to icon view and then back to list view and then compact here. I like the list view the best. That's actually my favorite because I like having the details right there. And so that's just cool all the way around. And of course, all these other folders here are probably empty. I'm assuming they are because this is a fresh install. So there shouldn't be anything on those, but here we hit the StormOS PNG file and our desktop. And then in places, we got quick access to home. I can just click that and be right back in our home folder again. So a really wonderful setup. And then here we got a quick go-to if you want to just use the menu to navigate to different places. And of course, home again, and also Alt Home would be your keyboard shortcut for that as well. And then if you want to see the dot files, you can click Show Hidden Files or press Control H, and that'll give you access to the dot files here in case you need to go in there and do any fancy configuring. All right, so let's check out some of the apps that are on here now that we got that. Oh, by the way, before I do that, let's check out our top bar. Take a closer look at that. So as we've already seen, this is our menu here, and then access to our launcher. And I just pressed the super key just to see if this launcher would open, and it did. So there is a keyboard shortcut for the launcher. And so just like in GNOME, you can hit the super key and open up the launcher. Well, actually in GNOME, you got to hit super A. There's an extra step, of course. But anyway, the super key will open this right up, which is really nice. So I am liking that. And then here we got our workspaces. So we can click over here. We got 4 available by default. And I just hit super 1 to go back to 1. So it looks like keyboard shortcuts are working also. So I like that. And so I'm just hitting super 1s, super 3s, 4. Really like the fact that that's happening. And then over here we got our window list here of open windows. These we can change focus just by clicking on them to the various windows that correspond down here. And then we got our clock in the middle, of course. Right click, we can get direct access to clock settings. And this is great too. I mean, we can adjust our font size right here without even having to go into the app. I like that. So, for example, if I wanted the clock fonts even bigger, let's try 12, then we can make those bigger. I love it. And then here we got our colors. And it looks like by default it's probably moon glow, but let's try some of the other ones, see what they look like cyan. Very nice. This is really great. I've never been able to do this on the clock, just directly modify it like this. The green looks great too. Loving the green. Great shade, by the way. Yellow. And that's the perfect shade of yellow that I would want. Great aesthetics. Pink. And that's bold. That stands right out. Easy to see. I like that too. And then white. So let's go back to moon glow, because I'm not 100% sure that was actually the default. So let's compare that with white. Yeah, that actually does look like a moon glow. That's a pretty good description there, because it is a different shade. It's not pure white. And then the other things we already kind of went over real quick. So I guess I got so excited with the tiling part that I just kind of overlooked the Ethernet. But here we got our Ethernet settings. So I'll click on that and it opens up a beautiful window here for our Ethernet. And then here we got, looks like our battery status, which is not relevant because I'm not on a laptop, but otherwise that would be showing somewhere between 0 and 100%. And then here we got our Wi-Fi. Next to your Wi-Fi, you got Bluetooth. And then finally at the end, I'm not sure what that is. Power menu maybe? Let me click. Okay, easy access to your volume control, network manager, Bluetooth, system monitor, settings. That's nice. That's actually quite handy. I like having that. And your panel settings. Very cool. So if I click on system monitor, it should open up our system monitor. And there it is. So here we can look at our resources. And then if you want to look at processes, we can click on our center. And it'll show up all the different processes and what's being used. Right now, the system monitor itself is using about 4.5% CPU, ranging to 7.3, looks like. And then other processes here, so we can see what's running here. The process monitor itself is using about 185 megs. So it looks like everything is sorted by size, which I like all the way across there. So you can see what's using the most CPU and memory, which isn't that much right now, which is good. And then of course over here we can look at our file systems that are on our system. So we're using our overall Linux system, which is one big partition, and 29% of it's being used, so still got lots of space. And then of course our boot EFI here, which is laid out and even shows you the type, so love it. And then easy access also, and this is just a left click here, to our volume control. So that's bringing up our PAVU control, so we can set in our output devices, recording, playback, and input and configuration. So that's nice. Easy access to the audio control settings as well. And then Bluetooth manager, I don't have anything Bluetooth hooked up here right now, but if I wanted to, I could do that through there. And then of course our panel settings and our settings. So this would take us right to our main settings for Xfce, and here we can adjust our appearance and so forth. So here we can see we're using the Edwata GTK3 Dark, but you can change your look just by going up here. Black Ice is another really nice theme that I like. And then this I don't know how to pronounce that. Violet Dark, EcoOS. And of course you got light themes to choose from too, like just the Edwata GTK3 or the StormOS, or however you pronounce that, Violet Light. And then over here we got icons. So we have the Koger Dark by default. And then over here we got fonts. And it's using the Ubuntu regular fonts right now, which is great. And then our settings, which is set just the way I normally like mine set up, showing the images on buttons and the menu. So great all the way around. Everything in here is really quite the standard preference here, the standard items that you see in the Xfce panel. So I guess there's no need to go through everything one at a time, but I did notice here we got a StormOS system tool, and I like this tool. I think this was in the last StormOS review that I did on this, so I really like their system tool. It's got a lot of handy stuff in here. We can refresh mirrors, system updates, easy access, AUR updates, nice. Keyring updater. So occasionally, sometimes in Arch Linux, you get issues with a keyring and it may need to be updated. So this kind of is an easy way to do that without having to remember the terminal command, doing it in the terminal, which is great. Which this replaces all that, having to memorize different terminal commands and so forth. And then renew the Arch keyring, a next step, which is optional as well. Here we can even install some proprietary things like TeamViewer, and then also listing hardware. So that's not a proprietary item there, but it is a nice Linux utility if you need to get a good list there. And then decode DIMMs, which I'm not really familiar with what that is. It looks like some kind of memory management utility maybe, but I could be wrong. Easy install of NVIDIA drivers. So that is very good. DKMS, and then after that you want to reboot. So even nice that they put a reminder in there. And then install the NVIDIA 390XX drivers. And again, recommend you to reboot after that. And then here we got some game utilities and scripts. So we got like install Steam Native, Heroic Launcher, Lutris, Proton Updater, Mango HUD, and Coverlay. Cool. Install Bottles. Bottles is a really nice front end here for wine. Got install Warpinator, GNOME Calculator, Flameshot, which is a great screen capture utility, Transmission GTK, which is a torrent client, Thunderbird, which is a nice email client, Zed, XED, which is a nice text editor, OnlyOffice. So I don't think it's installed by default, but let's take a look. I'm just going to open up the launcher, I think, and then type in only. Oh, it is there. Okay, cool. Like to see that. Install Media Stream. That's interesting. I'm not sure what that is. Media Stream installer. Okay, it looks like I couldn't find the database. Maybe I just got to do a quick update here. Because now that I think of it, I didn't update it. So let's just do a quick... Okay, it looks like I'm getting a little bit of a database error there. So I'm just going to synchronize. And yeah, so it looks like something's temporarily down there and getting a 404 there from the SourceForge EcoOS DB. So we are kind of in a beta stage here, I think. This is an early release. I think this is a brand new release, so you're bound to have some issues, and it looks like temporarily we got a 404 there, so that's probably why that's not installing, but not a big deal. This will probably be cleared up even before I finish the video. So then we got our cups printers. So this is nice, makes it really easy to set up your printer instead of having to go through here, which you could also do and set up your printer, but this is a nice handy little way to do it right through the terminal. So you can enable cups without having to go on the terminal and, enable the system control by yourself, the systemd command there. And then we got access to our interface, Epson drivers if you're running an Epson printer, and then pre-installed HP drivers. Beautiful. And then Arch University, so here you can get easy access to all the different things you need, like the Arch Wiki, Arch website, explanation of Arch commands. Wow, this is really nicely laid out. So if you want to get to know the arts that you just installed, this is a great thing to have right at your fingertips. Fantastic. And then, of course, the About Us. So here you can get quick access to the StormOS channel here. You can install Discord. So I'm assuming the channel is probably a Discord channel, probably. Then a link to DistroWatch. Got a GoFundMe page to help support the project, which is also important. And then a fun Patreon page and a link directly to the StormOS website. And then the StormOS README, which should give you some good information on what StormOS is all about and how to do some of the different things. So, yes, settings, and a direct access to the Thunar preferences as well if you need to go in there and change anything. So I probably wouldn't change anything because it looks so great. Except maybe the date format. I prefer having a time stamp even on something that's created today, because sometimes I need that, especially when I'm developing and so forth. So most people probably wouldn't, but for me, that's kind of a nice thing to have available if I need to reference some files that I created today. So let's take a look at what's installed here by default. So if we look at our menu here, the menu has a listing of all the kind of major things that you would use, like your web browser, text editor, calculator, file manager. So I like the fact that you got quick access to this, and the terminal, of course, too. So this is really nice. I like having easy access to these essentials, or the staples, if you want to call it that. But one thing I notice in most distros is the terminal is never easy to get to. It's never a shortcut. It's usually not in the favorites right away. And so you got to go in here and find the system folder and then find the terminal and all that. But here you got it right here. And you can even select your workspace, which I like. So you can open it up in the current, or you can open a terminal in workspace 3, for example. And so it opened up and went straight over there. I like that. How cool. So now I go back over to Workspace 3, and there we are. Beautiful. I think that is cool as heck. Yes, I'm easily entertained maybe, but I like it. So now if I want to open up my web browser, I can come over here, web browser, but I want to open it in Workspace too. So it'll put it there right off the bat. What a nice handy menu that is. I like that. So now I can go to Workspace 2, and there it is right there on Workspace 2. That is so cool. I just love that. I think that is something I really could get used to. And not only get used to, but I would have to demand it after a while. This would spoil me. So, wow. I mean, with what I'm looking at right now, I really can't imagine using any other Xfce configuration. This is really great. Let's go into the launcher here. I just kind of want to see what some of the things are installed by default. So here we got our development category, and that's left open for whatever you need. Then here we got games, graphics. So yes, it's a very basic layout here, which I like because it allows me to choose the stuff that I want instead of being overbloated with a bunch of things that I don't need. Ristretto Image Viewer, that's my go-to viewer, so that is perfect. Under Internet, here we got Firefox, IFTP, which is an FTP client. Nice. Got a mail reader here. Vivaldi as an alternate browser. That's a fine choice. And then web browser. So I'm not sure what that is. Let's click on it. I'm assuming it's something Chromium based, or it's another version of Firefox. So I'll close that. So now we know what that is. Mystery solved. Hit my super key again. And the next item is multimedia. So here we got our MPV player by default. Parole is another great media player. I like them both actually. Volume control and our XF Burn, which is a CD and DVD burning app. Beautiful. And then under Office, of course, we got our Only Office installed, which is an excellent Office program. It looks so much like Microsoft Office. If you're coming over from Windows, you'll feel right at home in here. Very one-to-one compatible on the documents. really nice to see. And then under our system, we have the usual system stuff here for Xfce, the important things like your appearance where we were earlier, add remove software. I'm going to hit that real quick just to see what that is. I'm assuming it's like Pamac. Probably that's the graphical front end. I'm not sure what this is actually. Maybe it's GNOME Files. Let's go up here and hit about Pamac. Okay, so it is Pamac. I haven't really been in Pamac in ages, so I didn't recognize it. I always just use the console when I want to install stuff, or FlatHub if I want a Flatpak. But regardless, this is nice. So it's all laid out. You got nice access here and got your recommended apps or all apps here, which I think are recommended apps. But you got VLC player, which is one of my go-to players. VirtualBox, nice. Inkscape. So let's just pick Inkscape real quick and just do an install. So here we can see our details, and I can even expand that a bit. And we have a screenshot here. We can hit the little arrow to see more shots. And then down here it gives you a nice description of what Inkscape is all about and the different version available. And this build date on here is from November 15th. So a very recent build, being Arch, I would kind of expect that. And then it even gives you an overview of different dependencies if you need to see what the dependencies are. Of course, any dependencies that are needed would be installed here. And I actually don't expect this to install because the repo right now is temporarily down. But I'll just hit it anyway just for fun and just see if it goes. And then hit apply. And then here we can choose optional dependencies as well. So if this were to actually install, I could choose them. A lot of times I like to choose them, but you don't have to. But a lot of times those optional dependencies will let you have some extra features that you may or may not want to use someday. But again, being that the repo is temporarily down, not a biggie. And then finally we got other, which is our HP UI scanning utility. So again, the application installs, in my opinion, are just the way I like it. It leaves me lots of room to put my own stuff in. It didn't bloat me out with a bunch of developer software that I wouldn't need or maybe ever use if I wasn't a developer. And I like that only Office was in there by default as well. So I'm in my workspace 3 now because I just want to see this really cool background. And just out of curiosity, I'm going to just jump into desktop settings and see what our backgrounds are anyway. And so by default, you can select these different wallpapers per workspace. But if you want to apply them to all the workspaces, you can check the box here, and then you'll have the same background all the way across on all the workspaces. But it's nice that you can customize each workspace. So for example, if maybe I wanted some landscape on workspace 3, or maybe one of these other StormOS. And that is cool. I like that. But if you wanted one of these other StormOS branded wallpapers even, there's some really nice ones here. You could just go with that, and as long as this box is checked, it's only going to be on that workspace. So if I come over to 4, or not checked, I mean unchecked. If you uncheck that and hit that, then it's going to only apply to this workspace. And then if I come over here, it's going to keep the original that we have on all the other workspaces. So that's how you do it one at a time. And of course, if I decide, no, you know what? I want to use it everywhere. Just check the box. And then you'll find it everywhere. Like that. But I'm going to uncheck it because I'd rather just have it like in one spot. But I'm going to go back to the EcoOS because that's really my favorite overall, I think. And then here we got our menus. So I would probably just stick with the defaults here and just show everything there. Desktop icons. And right now by default, the icon size is like 48. No icon showing up on the desktop at the moment. Here under our file launcher icons, we can put in some defaults if we wanted them. Like if we wanted our home folder link to show up, we could have it up there by checking it. File systems, if you wish to see that. our wastebasket here, so we can have that there available as well, and devices, which nothing's plugged in right now. So if you like to have icons on there, you can do that as well to get it started. And of course, you can add your own anytime you wish. So that is cool. Otherwise, just uncheck both those boxes and it will be clean. Just like you would see on a tiling window manager. So that is cool. I guess if I wanted to just keep playing on the tiling experience, you could just go right into your settings, which we have easy access up to right here in the corner, and just jump into keyboard and set up your keyboard shortcuts. In fact, they're already set up for your workspaces, so I'm pretty happy there. But if I wanted to add some other thing like, move a window to a workspace, then that would actually be done through your window manager. So you just click on that and then go into keyboard and adjust your setups here. So for example, I think it would be move window to workspace, your choice, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So by default, it's Control-Alt-4 to move something to workspace 4, for example, and so forth. So there you could just edit it and change the keyboard shortcut. So maybe I want to use Super Shift 2 to move something to workspace 2. So that's all I'd have to do there. And then I would be good to go. So that's how easy that is. And then here we have our workspaces button. So if you wanted to click on this guy, and adding workspaces is just as easy as hitting the plus or minus to add more, or take them away if you want less. That's that part. And let me just go back to Window Manager real quick under keyboard, because the other thing I use all the time for window operations is to close a window, which is right here. By default, it's Alt F4. I prefer actually using Super Q like I do in my window managers. So I can just go to Edit here and then press Super Q, and that'll change it. And so now Super Q will close a window. So if I go back over here, let's say I want to close this text editor, press Super Q, and it closes just like that. Beautiful. So back to workspace 3, back to all settings. And so then the rest is just easy peasy. Keyboard, application shortcuts, and this will set up shortcuts for your applications. And here you can see what the defaults are already for your launcher. Super L, terminal is Control-Alt-T. So some of these I would probably just change for my own taste, suited to my own taste. Like for example, terminal, I might use maybe Super C or Super Enter. For the browser, I might add that in and then use something like Super W to launch the browser. And to add that in, I would just go up here and hit Add, and then select a command. All I'd have to do really is type in Firefox, or you could hit this and then navigate to the bin folder and then find it and select it. So that's another way you could do it as well. But it's really a lot quicker just to type in the app if you already know the command. But for the sake of demo, I'll go ahead and just click on Firefox here and hit open, and that'll put the whole path right in there. And then just hit OK. Now it's going to ask for a keyboard shortcut, so I'm going to do Super W. And that's all it takes. So now every time I press Super W, it will launch Firefox. Right there. So that's how easy it is. Easy peasy. Add, and then if you want to remove something, just select whatever you want to get rid of and hit remove. And if you're like, oh, you know what, I want Super B instead, you can just hit edit and then just change your shortcut here by clicking OK. And then it'll ask you again if you want to press a key. So then I could make it Super B if I want. But I prefer Super W, so I'm going to keep it. So I could just hit cancel and then it'll just leave things the way they are. So yeah, just wanted to show that as a one last little tidbit. And with that, I got to give my 2 cents. And I don't even know where to start with my 2 cents because I just think this is really one of the best Xfce layout and desktops that I've used, and it's still really in its very early stages of development. Not everything's going to be perfect on here. I'm sure if I look around, there's going to be some glitches, and of course it has a temporary connectivity problem there with the EcoOS repo, which again, by the time you see this video, is probably not even an issue. But everything on this is just beautiful. I mean, I just can't get over the aesthetics. And I love the file manager up here, the way Thunar is laid out. That's the best layout on Thunar I've ever seen, I think. So, wow, what a design. I got to give you like a double thumbs up just on your aesthetics there, Seeker. You really got an eye for this stuff. So, it's just over the top. I love everything I'm seeing here. I really like the layout here on the bar, and the balance of keeping the bloat out of the applications and just installing the essentials is great. I love the menu up here where you have quick, easy access to your most used applications, what I consider the essentials, and the fact that I can just choose the workspace, current or any of the other ones there in the list. So I think that is so cool. I love that. And then, of course, just hitting Super L, or just Super apparently too, opens up your launcher. And so I like having easy access to that as well. I'm already with the reaction that I can't say enough good things about it. And I look at this and I look like, it almost feels like I'm in Hyperlin just by looking at it with the overall look. Of course, Hyperlin and Xfce are entirely different experiences, and Hyperlin is Wayland-based, but Xfce is good old X11, which is reliable. I never have issues in Xfce ever, really. So I think this is the finest choice imaginable for an Xfce desktop. And I know that may sound like I'm a little over the top there, but that's really what I'm feeling right now, my impressions. So Seeker, this is great, and do I recommend this? Even as an early thing, if you want to play around with something new, you got a spare laptop or you want to pop it into a VM and just kind of give it a gander, I recommend trying this out because it is based on a stable system. I don't know if you would consider the tiling and all that experimental at this point, but wow, I mean, it's already doing some pretty amazing things, and the scripting is really impressive, the way you can get easy access to the different layouts and your gap control and the ability to cycle the layouts and so forth. And here you even got some commands here where you can focus your next and previous windows. You can swap with a master, which I haven't tried that yet. Window control swap with master. It doesn't quite work yet, but that's something that's probably getting implemented. Like I said, this is really a very, very new part of the project. So I think that is just awesome. And then here we got our max window, our ratio. So right now it's 60% of the screen, which I think is just right. But if you wanted to change your master ratio to something like bigger or smaller, let's say 40%, you could do that. And now it's only taking 40% of the screen. So wow, another impressive feature. And there's probably even things that I didn't even touch upon that I don't realize. Here we got a 50-50 if you just like an even split there. I like the 60, so I would probably stay with that, personally. So yeah, I mean, things like that. It's kind of like when you get a new car with a whole bunch of cool accessories. I could probably play with this for another 4 or 5 hours and still discover things I didn't notice. Yeah, I probably didn't hit everything, but if you go out to the website and download this and give it a try for yourself, I think you're going to find this a really cool experience. It's an Xfce that has a really modern look to it. I mean, this is like Xfce next level. I know Xfce kind of has a rep for looking old and old school, and if I just walked into a room and saw this on my computer and didn't know what it was, somebody just installed it without my knowledge, and I came in and said, "What's this?" I would just think it was a modern window manager like Hyperlin. I wouldn't know. You know, it's just got such a nice modern look. The beautiful buttons, the rounded edges on the panel, and it's just, yeah, over the top. I don't know what else to say. And I just couldn't help getting excited about this. Seeker, double thumbs up, 5 stars. You're awesome, man. You're just doing a great job here. So yeah, like I said, if this was helpful, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I appreciate you all watching. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.